The pro-athlete dad mocked my old-school drills. Then he found out I'm the $500,000 consultant. He crossed his arms on the sidelines, shook his head, and laughed. "Those drills are outdated," he said loud enough for the other parents to hear. "My son trains with professionals." I nodded, kept the whistle in my mouth, kept running the old-school drills. Because sometimes experience doesn't need to argue, it just waits. What he didn't know, the professionals he bragged about, they hired me for $500,000. Welcome back to the channel. This one is about ego, expertise, and the moment someone realizes they underestimated the wrong coach. But before we dive in, where are you watching from right now? Drop your country and city in the comments. I love seeing how far this community reaches across the world. And if you enjoy powerful comeback stories, satisfying twists, and moments where quiet confidence wins. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Because sometimes, the loudest person on the field isn't the most valuable one. I was setting up cones for a youth soccer clinic in a pair of grass-stained sneakers and a faded whistle. One of the dads, a former pro player named Rick, who wore his championship ring to every practice, started laughing. He told the other parents that my drills were outdated and that I was wasting his son's talent with basic footwork. He called me a glorified babysitter and said he could buy and sell my entire career with one endorsement deal. He thought I was just a volunteer from the neighborhood. He didn't realize I wasn't there to babysit. I was there to scout the only thing his money couldn't buy. Rick is standing on the sideline, recording the practice on a gold-plated phone. He walks onto the field, interrupting a drill. "Hey, coach, if that's even what you call yourself," Rick sneered, checking his $50,000 watch. "My son needs elite tactical training, not these kick-and-run basics. I've played in stadiums you couldn't afford a ticket to. Why don't you go find a clipboard and pretend to be busy while I show these kids how a real professional moves? Or better yet, go mow the lawn. You look like you're more suited for landscaping than leadership." The next morning, Rick was at the headquarters of the United Global League. He was there to pitch his son for the Elite Academy, a spot that comes with a $500,000 development contract. He was wearing his best suit, ready to charm the big wigs. The boardroom door opened. I walked in, but I wasn't wearing the grass-stained sneakers. I was in a sharp navy suit, carrying a tablet loaded with performance analytics. Rick's grin froze. He looked at my face, then at the name tag on the desk. Vance Sterling, Chief Performance Consultant. "Rick, good to see you again," I said, sitting at the head of the table. "I hope you enjoyed the landscaping yesterday." To answer your question from the field, yes, I do know what a real professional move's like. I've spent the last decade building the training programs for the 3 teams that beat yours in the finals. Rick's face went from tan to pale. "Vance? The Vance Sterling? The guy who consulted for the national team? I thought you were just a local guy. The hoodie, the cones. I like the grassroots, Rick. It's where you see a player's true character, and more importantly, it's where you see their support system. We were prepared to offer your son the $500,000 academy contract today. His footwork is actually excellent, thanks to those outdated drills you hated." Rick leaned in, desperate. "So we have a deal? I apologize for yesterday. I was just being a passionate dad. You know how it is." "I do know how it is," I said, closing the file. "A passionate dad supports the team. A toxic dad ruins the locker room. In this league, we don't just sign talent, we sign families. And based on your behavior yesterday, mocking the staff, belittling the process, and thinking your ring makes you untouchable, you're a liability. If you treat a volunteer coach like trash, how will you treat our trainers, our refs, our brand?" I stood up and handed him back his son's highlight reel. "The contract is off the table. Take your son to a different league. Maybe find one where the babysitters don't have the power to shred your $500,000 dream." I watched Rick walk out of the glass tower, his championship ring catching the light one last time before he disappeared into the elevator. People think the pro level is about the flashy plays, but the real pros know that the game starts with respect. I went back to the field that afternoon. The grass needed cutting, the cones were set, and the kids were ready to work. And for the first time in a long time, the sidelines were quiet. The headquarters of the United Global League felt like a fortress, pristine white floors, silent elevators, and walls lined with the jerseys of legends. Rick was standing in the lobby, checking his reflection in the glass, adjusting his silk tie, and buffing his championship ring against his jacket. He was here for the legacy meeting, the final step before his son signed a $500,000 developmental contract. The heavy oak doors to the boardroom opened. Rick walked in with a strut, his hand already extended for a power handshake. "Gentlemen, I appreciate the time. I'm ready to get my son started with a real organization. After dealing with the amateurs at the local level, it's a relief to be among—" The words died in his throat. I was sitting at the head of the 20-foot mahogany table, wearing a tailored Navy suit and a watch that made his look like a toy. I didn't have a whistle around my neck anymore, but I still had the same calm, observant eyes from the soccer field. I didn't stand up. I just tapped a button on my tablet, and a video of yesterday's practice, recorded by the drone Rick hadn't noticed, started playing on the 100-inch wall monitor. "Vance?" Rick stammered, his hand dropping to his side. "What are you doing here? Did you follow me to get an autograph?" "Listen, I'm in the middle of a performance review, Rick," I said, my voice echoing in the silent room. "My name is Vance Sterling. I'm the chief performance consultant for this league. My job is to decide which families are worth a $500,000 investment and which ones are a toxic asset to our brand." I paused the video right at the moment Rick had called me a glorified babysitter. "You told me yesterday that I looked more suited for landscaping than leadership," I said, leaning forward into the light. "The irony is, I spent the last 10 years landscaping the careers of every player currently on our national team. I'm the one who designed the drills you called outdated. And unfortunately for you, Rick, I'm also the one who signs the checks." Rick's alpha posture vanished. He let out a dry, nervous laugh and reached for the table to steady himself. "Vance, man, you really got me. That was a hell of a disguise. I was just, testing the environment, seeing if the local coaches could handle the pressure of a pro dad. It was all a performance, really." I didn't smile. I picked up the $500,000 contract, thick, embossed, and ready for a signature, and held it up. "A performance? No, Rick. Yesterday was the reality. Today is the performance. You see, when a club invests $500,000 in a kid, we aren't just buying his footwork. We're buying into his support system. We're buying a brand representative." I stood up and walked over to the paper shredder in the corner of the boardroom. "I watched your son yesterday," I continued. "He's talented, he's hardworking, but he was watching you. He saw you mock a man who was there to help him. He saw you treat a stranger like dirt because you thought you had more money in the bank. If he learns that from you, he'll be a cancer in our locker room within 2 seasons. "Wait, don't," Rick started, reaching out. "Whirr." I fed the first page of the contract into the shredder, then the second, then the signature page. The sound of Rick's $500,000 retirement plan turning into confetti was the only noise in the room. "The contract is void," I said. "We don't sign toxic assets. Your son will find a team somewhere, I'm sure, but it won't be with us, and it won't be with any of our affiliates. I've already sent the footage of your sideline behavior to the regional scouts. Nobody wants to deal with a parent who thinks a championship ring from 1995 is a license to be a bully." I opened the boardroom door. "You're done here, Rick. Go enjoy that landscaping you mentioned. I hear it's very therapeutic for people with a lot of free time and no job." I watched him walk down the hall, his shoulders slumped, his alpha walk replaced by a defeated shuffle. He thought his son was his meal ticket. He didn't realize he was the one who canceled the order. I went back to the field that evening. I saw his son practicing by himself in the park. I walked over, handed him a new ball, and gave him a tip on his footwork. He's a good kid. Maybe one day when he's old enough to sign his own contracts, he'll come see me. But until then, the game belongs to the people who respect it.